Now we head to the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving's got a player option.
Kevin, we have breaking news. Kyrie Irving is picking up his $36.5 million player option to remain with the Nets, he tells The Athletic.
Other than that, I believe KD's locked up. There's the Ben Simmons situation. We don't know. I mean, are they going to keep him? Are they going to roll with him and hope that he's available for, next season at least? What are your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets and what's next for them?
I want to start with the Kyrie Irving situation because as of right now, he has a player option that he can opt into, or he could potentially sign a long-term deal. Kevin Durant has already signed his long-term deal, so he is locked up through like 2026, maybe even further. It's a long deal. To where Kyrie has not signed a deal yet. He has the player option, like I said, to come in next year. And the Nets ownership and GM have taken a bit of a hard stance right now on the Kyrie Irving situation. Their GM, Sean Marks, he was asked about Kyrie Irving and the future and all those kind of things. And he said,
I think we know what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that want to come in here, be part of something bigger than themselves, play selfless, play team basketball, and be available. And that goes not only for Kyrie, but for everybody here.
Keyword available. In Kyrie Irving's tenure in Brooklyn, availability has been a big question mark, whether it was injury, which is a bit out of Kyrie's control. And I don't think that that's necessarily what he's talking about, but whether it's injury or personal matters, there was early on in his time, there's points where he was just randomly missing games and he was being photographed at like his sister's birthday party and all these different things, which is fine, but they just kept happening. And then obviously the icing on the cake was his refusal to get vaccinated, which led to him not being able to play for about half the season. And then eventually he was able to play away games, but not home games. And so he barely played this year. I think the reason that they're saying that is because they're trying to send a message to Kyrie that is saying, hey, we don't want to pay you a long-term contract under the current mentality that you have with this organization. I think Kyrie's ego has sort of grown a little bit. There was a quote after the season where they asked him about his desire to stay, and he said,
in terms of my extension, man, I don't really plan on going anywhere. So when I say I'm here with Kev, I think that it really entails us, managing this franchise together alongside Joe and Sean. And
he literally said he plans to run the team. And so I think that obviously when they came to Brooklyn, there was sort of this understanding that they were going to be very heavily involved in a lot of the decisions there. They've come to Brooklyn. They left the Celtics and the Warriors. They're facing in the finals. But they left those two teams, and now they get to handpick Steve Nash as the head coach, who I like Steve Nash, but I just don't think that he's ready to be a high-level head coach yet on a championship contending team. I think he needs time as an assistant coach somewhere before he's really ready to do that. Sort of like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd immediately came in as a head coach, wasn't very good. He had to go to the Lakers. He had to go to a couple other places as an assistant. And now look what he did with the Mavericks in his first year. Great season for them. They handpicked Steve Nash, and Kyrie is just sort of picking and choosing when he wants to be available. He's taken all these different stances about things off the court that are affecting his ability to be available. And so honestly, I don't think the Nets are going to offer him a long-term contract this offseason. And so I honestly, what I truly think the Nets are hoping is that Kyrie opts into that player option, because that gives him another year. And you say to him, hey, prove that we need to pay you this long-term deal. I think that Kevin Durant is obviously going to be very involved in if Kyrie stays because they're really good friends. And I don't imagine that KD would be super happy if Kyrie was to just walk out the door for nothing. But the Nets are just in a really tough spot here because Kyrie has he just hasn't been available, like Sean Marks said, for a variety of reasons. And the greatest ability is simply put availability. So we'll see what happens. I think that they're going to run it back. I expect Kyrie to be there next year, whether it's the player option or a long-term contract. I think they're going to wait for Ben Simmons to get healthy. They do have a lot of flexibility on the bench, but I think that they're not in as dire of a situation as the Lakers are, because although they're sort of similar in the contract structure to where Durant, Simmons, and Kyrie are all getting max contracts, after that, you don't have to really worry as much as the Lakers, because those three are a very good fit together. We assume. We haven't seen Ben Simmons yet, but Kyrie and KD are both great ball handlers, shooters. KD's a pretty good defender. So they can fit alongside a lot of different types of players. And we believe that Ben Simmons can be one of those. So really, they just have to fill out the role players. If we look at their contracts for next year, they have KD, Kyrie, assuming he opts into the player option or gets extended, Ben Simmons, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, also a player option, Cam Thomas, and a couple other guys, Kessler, Edwards, all under contract. And then on their bench, guys that could potentially leave. Bruce Brown, I expect him to probably leave. I think he's sort of priced himself out of Brooklyn. LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, a variety of players. Nick Claxton could be a key one. A variety of players who could leave, and they're going to look to replace them. So we'll see. I think they'll probably end up keeping like Nick Claxton, but I wouldn't be shocked if they were going to let some of these other guys like Drummond, Aldridge, Griffin, who weren't getting a lot of playing time in the playoffs, letting them walk and try to replace them with, once again, 3-and-D options for next year. I don't think the Nets really need to worry because Joe Harris missed a lot of this year. He's going to come back healthy. Ben Simmons is going to come back healthy. They have a lot of key pieces, and I think they can still be a really good team. So, yeah, we'll see. I still think the one thing that's going to hold them back the most, though, is probably the coaching and Kyrie Irving's availability.
Yeah, I mean, you mainly hit the main thing I was going to mention was they need to play together. Like, not just, let's, kind of play here and there, and then we make the playoffs, then we'll start all playing together. No, they need to play together for a good amount of time in the regular season. Doesn't have to be all season, but at least half the season or something in terms of games. Like, they needed some sort of continuity because, like we're seeing now, when you play in the playoffs, you play the really good defenses, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heats, majority of these playoff teams have good defenses. So,
and those teams are all going to be there next year.
Yes. So you're not just going to get by ISO ball. Okay, your turn. Here's the ball. Go do something with it. And I know their offense is a little more nuanced now, but that's kind of what it was. And so I felt like at times where, if regular season, you play those teams regular season. Yes, they won't employ the same exact strategies or be as complex, but you gain a sense of continuity, just obvious team stuff. You have more answers, or just better chemistry too. You can find the answers to maybe whatever they're throwing at you. So yeah, I think Kyrie opts in, but I do think it's going to be one of those where he might do it at the last second. Trying because credit to him, he's going to can't fault him. He has been injury prone, so I imagine he's going to try to, at least in previous years. We're probably going to want the long-term security. I understand that, and obviously we'll have to see with Ben Simmons. But even if it's the Ben Simmons that we previously saw, which can't really shoot, but as long as he can still play defense and still pass, like you mentioned, it's a really good fit. And they saw Patty Mills. Did you mention? I forgot you mentioned. Is Seth Curry still going to be on their team too?
Seth Curry does have. He's got $8.5 million for next year, but that is his last year.
Okay, so once again, you have that, and then like you already mentioned, maybe you bring in Nick, lose a few people, but you still have Cam Thomas had some moments. And they said they can add some more pieces around that team. And yeah, I just think the big thing is just play together. It's not like they don't have much cap space to add a huge impact guy. I don't think you really trade Ben Simmons. I honestly, at this point, I'm not sure if you're going to get the value back that you want. So I think you're just better off playing him. At least, and like I said, if at least he's the same Ben Simmons as before, I think that still recoups some value because people say, okay, at least he's still, as talented. May not be able to shoot, but okay, he can do everything else. And then if it doesn't work, you can trade him down the line. Keep the core status quo, and just get in Kyrie's ear if you can. Listen, man, we just need you to play more with the guys. It's not just you and Kevin on this team; it's everyone else. You need to get used to, just playing with them.